Hey guys, this is Kyle. Welcome back to my channel. Let me start with a question. Have you ever tried to quit a habit, promise yourself this time is for real, and then went right back to it? If that sounds familiar to you, you are not alone. Today I'm talking a book that actually makes sense of that feeling. It's called Let Go, a Buddhist guide to breaking free of habits by Martine Batchelor. She's a longtime Buddhist meditation teacher, and she also spent 10 years in Korean monastery studying Zen. So the book isn't motivational quotes. It's a practical guide to how habits form and how they loosen. Here's what she means by letting go. It's not giving up. It's not pretending you don't want things. It's not being numb. It's learning to notice the moment a habit starts and then not fitting it. Bachelor treats habits as patterns, not just behavioral like scrolling, snacking, but patterns of mind like self-judging, comparing, worrying, grabbing for control, or getting stuck in emotional loops. She even describes some habits as negative patterns of mind that can show up as fear, avoidance, depression, addiction, and so on. And her key idea is very straightforward. A habit usually begins before the action. It starts earlier with a trigger, about the feeling, a thought story, and then the urge. When that train runs fast, it feels like I had no choice. Her whole approach is about slowing that train down so you regain the choice. So, how do you do that? This is where the mindfulness turn come in. Batchelor says meditation has two essential parts: concentration and inquiry. Concentration and steadiness is staying with something simple, usually the breath, long enough that your attention doesn't get dragged away every second. Inquiry is investigation, is looking clearly at what's happening without judging it, without pushing it away, and without turning it into a drama. The breath, in this book, is basically an anchor, not because breathing is magical, but because when you keep returning to it, you stop fitting the usual mental and emotional loops. She described this as gradually dissolving the power of patterns and creating a space between experience and identification. The word identification is huge. It's the difference between anger is here and I'm an angry person. It's the difference between craving is here and I must obey craving. When you identify, the feeling becomes a command. When you don't, it's just something passing through. And she also clear about what meditation is not. She says, in meditation, we do not flee from any experience. So this isn't about escaping real life. It's about meeting real life with more space. Now, here's the part of the book that really stayed with me, and I think this is where it connects most strongly with our daily life. Where Bachelor keep pointing out is actually very simple. Most habits don't start because we are careless or weak. They start because of something feels uncomfortable, and we want that feeling gone fast. Stress, loneliness, boredom, anxiety, that vague sense of something not right. The moment that shows up, the mind looks for a fix. And usually it reaches for whatever has worked before: distraction, control, food, scrolling, overthinking, achievement, even self improvement. Different habits, same move. What I found helpful is that she doesn't tell you to fight that move. She asks you to notice it earlier, much earlier than the action. Often it starts in the body: tension, restlessness, the urge to do something. If you only notice after you have already acted, you are already too late. This is where the book spends so much time on awareness instead of willpower. You are not trying to delete habits. You are learning to see the moments where discomfort turns into automatic reaction and to pause here. She used the same idea in different parts of life. When she talks about emotions, she's not saying be calm all the time. She's saying emotions become painful when we immediately turn them into stories. Stories about who we are, what this means, and how bad things are going to be. Feeling appears, a story kicks in, and suddenly the feelings feel permanent and personal. That's where the habit grows. When she talks about relations and desire, the pattern is the same. It's not that love or wanting is wrong. It's that we often use other people or fantasy to regulate our inner state. We look to be needed, desired, or reassured, so we don't have to sit with uncertainty or lack. At that point, connection quietly turns into grasping. She takes this logic further in the chapter on addiction, and that's where the book really earned my respect. She's very clear about the addiction is life-threatening and meditation alone is usually not enough. That matters because it shows she's not selling mindfulness as a miracle cure. Awareness can create space, but real change often needs structure, support, and other people. By the time she gets to the ethics and compassion, the direction of the book becomes clear. This isn't just about feeling better inside of your own head. When you are less driven by the automatic reaction, you naturally cause less harm. You pause more, you choose more. And that change how you speak, how you act, and how you treat other people around you. So for me, the value of this book isn't any single chapter. It's the shift it offers. Instead of asking, why can't I stop this habit? It invites a different question. What am I trying to escape right now? And how am I trying to escape it? That question alone created space. To keep it grounded, let me share one moment from my own practice. There was a period when trying to practice more regularly, sitting cross-legged, back straight, hands placed neatly. At first, it felt right, like my body understood the instruction, but after a while, my legs went numb, my back got sore, and my mind started counting minutes instead of breathing. What surprised me was my reaction. I didn't just feel discomfort, I turned it into a judgment. If I can't sit like that, I'm doing it wrong. And without noticing, mindfulness has become another performance for me or another task. This is where the book really clicked for me. Batchelor didn't say discomfort means you are fail. She's saying discomfort is often the first signal, the place where a habit begins to form. In my case, the habit wasn't a bad posture. It was the impulse to force myself or to give up completely. Once I saw that, something shifted. Instead of asking, how do I do this perfectly? The question became, what's happening right now? Numbness became sensation, restlessness became information, and the practice softened, not because it was easier, it's because I stopped fighting with the experience. I'm noticing it. And I think this is where the book connects to most of us, not because we are practiced it all the same way, but because we are all meet the same moments. When something feels uncomfortable, we rush either to fix it or to escape it in starting, in relationships, in works, even in rest. So if there's one thing I like to pass from this book, it's not a rule or a technique. It's a shift how you relate to that first moment. Instead of asking, how do I stop that habit? Try asking, what is this discomfort asking for right now? And see if you can stay with it and for just one breath. That breath won't fix everything, but it changes the relationship. And over time, that's where the real choice starts to grow. Alright, that's it for today. Thanks for listening and maybe take a moment with us before you move on.